tonight's event, we're going to send you an agenda and this lovely bio of Dr. Foudazi into the chat so you can review it. The experience that we would like you to understand and share about him is a lot to talk about. So we've sent that for you. So tonight we do have just a few, everybody knows where their emergency exit is, of course. I'm sure. And also want to make sure that everyone keeps their microphone on mute unless they're talking. And we do have Dr. Foudazi, of course, can leave his on because we want to hear his reaction to all of these exciting things. But otherwise, we ask everyone to protect us from the background noise. And you can switch to speaker view on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And that will allow you to see what we've got on the screen and a little bit of the sidebar as well. After we finish through the agenda and we open up to the audience, we will allow comments from the audience, and we'll give you special instructions then to raise your hand and announce yourself. And then you can personally congratulate Dr. Foudazi for this achievement. It is my pleasure to introduce the sponsors of this event, both Kathy Henson and from the Arrowhead Center. This is co-sponsored by the Arrowhead Center and the Office of the Vice President for Research. Kathy,
yes,
the stage is yours.
Thank you, Patricia. As Patricia mentioned, today is World IP Day with celebrations around the globe in recognition of IP assets that drive business development, economic recovery, and human progress. One of Arrowhead's top priorities is working with NMSU inventors and innovators to ensure their work is available to the largest possible base of users and beneficiaries. To that end, Arrowhead serves as NMSU's Office of IP and Tech Transfer and offers programs and resources that accelerate the path to market. Working with researchers in all fields and disciplines and with on and off campus experts in law, industry, and marketing sectors, we identify how the products of research can have the largest possible commercial and societal impact. Through these partnerships, we work together so that fellow researchers, people working in corporate and industry areas, and members of the general public have the chance to use and benefit from world-changing work emerging at NMSU. The Office of the VPR in Arrowhead established this annual award to recognize individuals in the NMSU research community who are high achievers in creating IP and taking this IP to market. We sought research products that have been awarded patents, but also demonstrated potential for significant commercial impacts. We were looking for work that has the capacity to change the lives of everyday people or advance industries through day-to-day application. And now I would like to introduce the Vice President for Research, Luis Cifuentes.
Thank you, Kathy. It's wonderful to be a team member in this award. As many of you probably remember, at last week's annual update, President Flores and the lead 2025 Goal Team leaders reported a steady increase in enrollment at New Mexico State University. This is during a time when many universities are facing large enrollment deficits, increases in annual research expenditures at a higher rate than is needed to meet the LEAD's 2025 KPI, and significant positive movement towards a Carnegie R1 ranking. The research portfolio at New Mexico State University is diversifying. 4 colleges, ACES, Arts and Sciences, Education and Engineering, and the Physical Laboratory, each were awarded over $10 million in external funding last year. This funding continues to support research strengths in AI and machine learning, biomedical sciences, energy, environment and water, food production, safety, science and security, and transforming STEM education. And all of these areas have and are capable of generating IP that can be commercialized. Funding is also growing in new areas, what we call emerging areas of research opportunity at New Mexico State University, such as cybersecurity, biomedical informatics and telehealth, quantum information science, space commercialization, and arts and humanities. These areas are increasing the diversification of the type of research we do at this university, which in turn increases the diversity of the IP that is generated at this university and can be commercialized. LEAD's 2025 Tactic 2.2.6 says that we seek to enrich and expand corporate, industrial, and government relationships to advance research, scholarship, and creative activity. This is a priority for Chancellor Rvisu and President Flores, exhibited by our strengthening strategic relationships with, for example, Sandia and Los Alamos National Lab at the national level, the New Mexico Departments of Health and the State of New Mexico Environmental Department, and locally and regionally electronic caregivers, El Paso Electric, Tricor Incorporated, and the City of Las Cruces. For example, the City of Las Cruces is going to be supporting the Creative Campus activity, which can in and of itself also generate some very interesting IP. Now, as this group knows quite well, IP creates a way of sharing breakthroughs and knowledge, commercializing and transitioning it to users, and creating strategic partnerships that lead to many good things such as workforce development. And our honoree today exemplifies this IP creation. He has 6 patents at NMSU, 1 pending, a license to venture that has received funding and is working to scale the technology, extensive involvement with commercialization support programs offered by Arrowhead, and work in STEM education and support for entrepreneurial activity. Dr. Foudazi, my congratulations to you on behalf of the Office of the VPR and the Graduate School. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm muted as well. Thank you, Dr. Cifuentes, very much. That was very insightful. Nice to learn about the Las Cruces involvement and other activities in the state. At this time, I would like to present President Flores, who has remarks to share this evening. Sir?
Thank you, Patricia, and good evening to everybody. This is a special event today. We're here to celebrate primarily scholarship and research and creativity, but also its effect on both education and teaching on one hand, and outreach and economic development on the other hand. There's a lot of things that we can do in terms of research, but if we don't connect it to the other two, it doesn't have the impact we would like it to have. So we're here today to celebrate scholarly research and creativity, particularly to celebrate intellectual property and commercialization. And both of those are part of our, as you heard from the VPR, part of our goal 2 in our strategic plan. And in that goal, one of the big parts of where we're trying to do is really to bring people together, bring teams of researchers together, and have them address global challenges with local implications, and integrate into that effort both undergraduate as well as graduate work, and also outreach and economic development on the other. And this intellectual property and commercialization activity really brings all of that together. And the personification of all of this happening is today's awardee. Dr. Reza Foudazi has done a lot of really impeccable work in this broad area of scholarship and research, using undergraduate and graduate students, and really moving that new findings from his research into an intellectual property so that we can have economic development and go out into our industry and work to really improve the conditions of life in general. So he has been working with the New Mexico Water Resources Research Institute for quite some time. His area of expertise is in ultrafiltration and microfiltration membranes. And Reza, you may not know that, but one of my graduate students a long time ago, his Ph.D. thesis was also in ultrafiltration and microfiltration. So you may want to check it out. You may actually still find some new things in there. He has used a lot of undergraduate and graduate students that were funded by the WRRI, and really has given them the opportunity to become scientists, to become researchers, to become engineers, and to extend their knowledge beyond just New Mexico State University. So as we work to amplify the impact of research findings by, as I said, solving global challenges with local implications and addressing really local needs, water is extremely important, particularly as it pertains not only to agriculture and food, but to energy as well. So this is all coming together: energy, food, and water. And Dr. Foudazi is addressing all of those three issues with his work. He has done a lot of interesting things with VIC Technology Ventures, and he has started a company here in Las Cruces. It's called Filtrivate. I believe I pronounced that correctly. They have obtained investment and validated and helped the technology mature, and are working to commercialize the technology, particularly as it pertains to bioprocessing applications. If we were to compare his technology with the conventional methods, the conventional membrane filtration methods and fabrication of membranes, they require large amounts of organic solvents, whereas his method is much more environmentally friendly, and it does not require as many organic solvents. It has higher fouling resistance and almost double the water flux with higher rejection rate as compared to the conventional membranes. So the invention can greatly improve the productivity and the performance in the bioprocessing industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar business. Filtration membranes are also used widely in other applications, such as household water purification systems, large-scale water treatment plants, as well as pharmaceutical and a lot of food and bioprocessing plants. Finally, the other important part in research and creativity, as we amplify the research and its effects to society and the economy, is to promote collaboration and accelerate technology transfer and knowledge, as I said, to industry and to people that can use it. Reza has worked very extensively with our Arrowhead Center on numerous programs such as Studio G, the Aggie I Corps, just to name a few, has defined a path to market, finding companies to license his technology. And the kind of work that he has done has had an impact not only to NMSU, to his students, to his group, but to the society and our economy in general. And so with that, Reza, congratulations on the award today. You're making us all proud. And I'm going to turn it back to Patricia to take it from there.
Very nice. Thank you so much, President Flores. That was very insightful.
Thank you.
Reza, anything you want to say?
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the kind words from PPR Cifuentes and President Flores. It's great to hear all these things. But yeah, I think it belongs to students, as I'll say later. I'll just represent the whole group here.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'm delighted to present our keynote speaker, Chancellor Rvisu. I know we did a sound check, so I know you're here. It's so funny on Zoom because I can't see you till you talk, but presenting Chancellor Dan Rvisu.
Thank you, Dr. Knighton. And I got to tell you, this is one of those times when I get pretty excited because it's this topic of commercialization and IP awards and management is a topic that I have spent a great deal of my career kind of focused on. So I'll get to that here in a bit. Let me just start by saying, let me echo the major themes that I think you've heard both from Dr. Cifuentes and Dr. Flores, which is really that the capturing of intellectual property for essentially providing benefits to our society is an important part of our research and creativity, I think, service that we provide as a university. Now, many years ago, I started in this arena. Well, let me back up. The point I wanted to make was, and as such, our LEADS 2025 strategic plan actually contemplates that and really kind of focuses on that. And I think more and more you'll hear us talk about things like economic development, recovery from the pandemic, those things that really relate to how do we deploy things. So that is integral and an important part of our strategy. And as both Luis and John have already mentioned, if anything the pandemic has done is to give us more resolve and maybe accelerate the pace that we were on for achieving the outcomes of our strategy and our plan. So our strategy has served us well. It's still very, very applicable and still very relevant. So with that, I'll talk a little bit, and I'll reminisce a little bit in that, gosh, it was almost 35 years ago. I was an early career engineer at Sandia National Labs, and my boss at the time, who was Al Nareth, came to me and said, "Hey, we've got this new initiative that we want to pursue, and it's called technology, transfer, commercialization. Would you be interested?" And my first response was, "Well, no. Why would I be interested in that? I'm a researcher. I've been to school. I've got all this training. I want to go do research in the lab and do the great stuff that I'm working on. And I really have very little interest." And he was persistent. And he said, "Well, what will it take to get you?" I said, "Well, it would have to have some technical content to it." What I didn't know was that he was in conversations with Senator Pete Domenici. And so later that day, he calls me into his office. I'm actually sitting outside the office. He's talking on the phone to Senator Pete, and he goes, "Yes, sir, Senator. I've got just the guy that's going to take care of that." And I wondered, and I'm next into his office, and I'm wondering, what the heck is he going to say? So he marches me into the office, and he goes, "Okay, I just got off the phone with Senator Domenici. I made a commitment to him. You're going to be our tech transfer director." In fact, at the time, it was a manager. "So you're going to be our tech transfer, head of that tech transfer office." And he called the CFO in, and he said, "Isn't there some sort of a law that says we're supposed to spend some money on technology commercialization?" And the fellow said, "Yeah, no, there's the 89 Tech Transfer Act, there's the Stevenson-Wilder Act, and all of those acts say that, yeah, we want to make sure that the benefits of our research kind of find their way into the marketplace. So yeah, we have that, and there's in fact a 0.5% of your research budget that should be applied to things technology transfer." So, and at that time, the Sandia budget was like, I don't know, the research budget was like 500 million or something. Anyway, long story short, he said, $5 million, that's your bogey. Put that in your account. I want you to manage it like a program, not, I don't want you to just do cost accounting. That was the direction to me. And so the technology transfer program at Sandia was reset and born. There was actually something that was called that prior to 1986, which is when I took over. And it became essentially the Tech Transfer Office. I spent my first year working in Senator Jeff Bingaman's office with the attorneys, rewriting the Tech Transfer Act of 1989 to include tech transfer as a mission of defense programs of the Department of Energy, which allowed Sandia and Los Alamos and Livermore to actually do tech transfer as part of their mission. Until that time, it was not part of the mission. They weren't allowed to do it. So we changed the law, and again, I spent a year with attorneys, learned a great new respect for attorneys, I might add, and at that time recognized how important that really was. Spent the better part of the next 5 or 6 years on the road, running around the country, hawking the wares of the national labs to industry consortia, the transportation industry, the textile industry, the ag industry, a bunch of different industries, a bunch of coalitions. And we did, it was at that time, they called these cooperative research and development agreements, CRDAs. They call them CRDAs, and and everything needs an acronym. So I think my only real claim to fame is that I said, this is Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, CRADA. Why don't we just call it CRADAs? So I think it's a little known fact, but I think I'm actually one of the key people that actually named the CRADA. So rather than being the CRDA, it's now called CRADAs. I think that's universally used. And that was essentially the origin of that particular topic. I say all that to let you know that I've been at this business of looking at how do you take research results and make them of benefits to society through the intellectual property deployment. And there was a time in our history when the public policy of the United States was to do great research and then throw it over the wall and hope good things happen. And that idea of fund and hope that the good things are happening has now been challenged. And as we all know now, post-pandemic, what we do know is that commercialization is going to be a key element of our national strategy. No longer are we going to do great research and throw it over the wall and hope good things happen. At this point, I think what we're seeing in a bipartisan sort of way, that the expectation is that for all of the investments that we make in R&D, we want the benefits to accrue to the US. And there's many areas, and energy, clean energy being one of those, where we can't really make that case. Much of what we build, and we call it US manufacture, is the component parts, or some of the value-added steps are still done internationally. And that's true in manufacturing of photovoltaic devices and a variety of other things. And there is a reckoning that essentially I think we're all going to have to deal with, and that is for the future. We're going to want to make sure that the investments that we're making are going to ultimately accrue to the US. And so at the end of that, what that all suggests to me is the following, and that is that we need to be really manage our intellectual property. So I'm really pleased to know that this is our first annual awards, and congratulations, Dr. Foudazi. I think that this is a wonderful testament to the fact that intellectual property management is well, and that's occurring on our campus, and we will continue to put more emphasis on that as it goes forward. So I'm really excited about what it represents. I think the timing is great because, frankly, now is the time when the federal government is going to be expecting the deployment and value added and the supply chains of our critical infrastructures that Dr. Flotos talked about are going to be essentially deployed in this country for the purpose of economic development, job creation, and wealth creation in our regions, and especially in our underserved regions. So that is hopefully the charge that we all have for the next, foreseeable future, for the next few years, that making the investments that the U.S. makes in basic R&D and in applied R&D ultimately find their way into the marketplace more quickly than they have in the past. That's going to be a national effort. So I couldn't be more pleased that we at NMSU are starting this program. Patricia, your program here at Arrowhead, I think, is going to continue to gain momentum, and I'm very, very excited about what I think it represents. So with that, I'll kind of end my more personal remarks and get on with, I think, what is our real, I think, focus tonight, and that is to really celebrate the wonderful things that have been going on, and specifically for our first annual award winner of our primary IP award. So let me just go through that real quickly. You've already kind of heard a few things from Dr. Cifuentes and Dr. Flotos regarding Reza's work. So what I have here is NMSU's proactive support enables this first-class work to get accomplished, and it takes an enthusiastic inventor to really produce the impactful results that we're seeing. We have been so fortunate to have Reza Foudazi as part of our institution as an innovative leader, a researcher, and collaborator. Reza first joined NMSU in August of 2013 as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemical and Materials Engineering, and became an associate professor in August of 2019. Over the course of his career, he's co-authored and authored over 40 publications and has contributed to several intellectual property patents, 6 as we know, and 1 that's pending. He has been a recipient of many awards and honors, including the Polymer Processing Society Early Career Award in 2019. He's the winner of the Arrowhead Launch Competition for his prosthetic sleeve liner project in 2018. And he had the Best Poster Award at the Center for Integrated Nanotechnology's annual meeting in 2017. And when asked about the most important aspects of this position, Reza has stated, "I believe training students for real life challenges is the most important aspect of my job." I just love that you would say that, Reza. These challenges can be scientific, they can be technical, and even societal. If they learn how to think critically and out of the box and how to work with their colleagues, I consider their training to be successful. And that's a quote directly from an article that was written about Dr. Foudazi. So Reza, this IP award is the first, and I am so proud to be able to award it to you. You have received a plaque, and let's see, I think we can all see you. Do you have it there nearby? This virtual work is hard. I don't think we can do it digitally. There it is. Okay, well, great. Well, congratulations. That's a wonderful plaque. I can see it from here. I know it'll be quite handsome in your offices. And also, let's see, I think, yeah, there you go. And then there's also this, okay? So for those of you that can see, there's a monetary award as well. And the so-called check is on the, is in the cyber ether, and it's in the mail, as they say, right? We've come a long way, and we learned that Reza has accepted an opportunity at another university. And his departure will be in the fall. And it'll be a loss to our students and to our faculty with whom he's collaborated for all these years. But we're also grateful that he's, that he'll continue to be a primary, I think, worker with our Arrowhead Center on many pieces of the intellectual property that has been developed on the research that's while here, and of course all of the external stuff that's going on as a result of that. So we'll continue to have a relationship. And while he might not be on our campus, his impact will remain, I think, obvious and manifest itself here in Las Cruces for many years to come. So Reza, we wish you the greatest success as you move forward. Your commitment to students and the community exemplifies NMSU's goals and mission. And so for that, we congratulate you as our award winner. We wish you the very, very best. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the first NMSU 2021 Intellectual Property Award honoree, Dr. Reza Foudazi. Reza.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor. Thank you.
And Patricia, I'll turn it back over to you for perhaps some comments from Reza.
Certainly, we're ready for your comments, Reza. Thank you, Dr. Rvisu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I made a short presentation to thank everybody that has been involved in all this journey at NMSU. So first, I thought it's good to say where it started. It was an Institute for Energy and Environment. I got a seed funding when I started, 50,000, and that led to the intellectual property, then WRI as a president and VPR said, they supported the work, and then we got the funding from Bureau of Reclamation to further improve the technology and water treatment. Then, as you see, just build it up on NSF funding. And I have been thankful to my collaborators at SINT National Lab at Los Alamos and Filtraway that has been trusted the technology and then went forward for commercialization. So I just give you the people that who really did this. So I was just part of the whole team. So these are, as you heard, the 7 intellectual properties, 4 from our group. We had 1 on the membranes. My former PhD student, Saharan Aaron Lindsay, who did his PhD in the University of Minnesota. Now he's in 3M. And then the prosthetic sleeve liner, the group that we have, Robin Marks from Beryl College, Ryan Zawada and Neda was a postdoc that time. We have a technology recently on PFAS removal. This is one of the important issues that we have on the environment. And that's with Zahra, is my current PhD student, Zahra Bazian. And then the latest one is a stimuli responsive membranes through the NSF funding with Yunus and Azim as co-inventors. So My group has received enormous support from the Arrowhead Center. I would like to thank the leadership. Kathy Hansen has been always really helpful and supportive of the whole activities through the Arrowhead and for our individual projects that we are doing. For protecting intellectual properties, I've worked with Scott, Dell, and Terry Lombard that left NMSU a few years ago. Then with Aggie I-Corps, we had several groups that I always encourage students to go to Aggie I-Corps because that helped them to understand the real life challenge. And with that, that changed the direction of their research rather than just having something on a publication that we generate an intellectual property, something that people really care about. Kramer and also Carlos, I think, has been part of the launch and protecting IPs, but I just put Carlos' image also here. Christine, that we work with her through NMSBA, I also thank her. And finally, Yoon Lee, that came in for investment and commercialization of our technology. And with that, I think invention is an art. I've been very fortunate to have an artist wife. So this is a picture that she drew from me, from those of you that know a scanning electron microscope. These are the pieces of my samples, and she just put them together to build an image of me. So I've been thankful to have her besides me and always supporting of my life and challenges that we go through in the lab. So that's great to have Fahime next to me. And finally, I would thank you, and this is my group, the people that, as I said, have done the majority of the work. Some of them I name, some of them have been always supportive through the other efforts that we have in the lab. And I would like to thank the VPR, President, and Chancellor for the remarks on this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. What an interesting presentation. That was very nice to show all the pictures. And with that, I also want to make a quick comment. So, Chancellor, that means there's actually two parts of the Green Book, the Federal Technology Transfer Book, that were invented in New Mexico, if you're the guy who made up CRADA, because PIAs were also invented in New Mexico, both 25, 30 years ago. So we're getting famous, and we're going to get more famous as a state as we move along every year. So Reza, thank you so much. And if you will allow us, we do have some folks who want to congratulate you. And Dean Reddy, you're the next one up. I believe you're here in the audience. So the floor is yours.
Good, thank you. Reza, congratulations to you. We're very, very proud of you. I do want to mention about Reza's wife, Fahime Foudazi. I know her work as well because she did some illustrations for my book. So she is very creative. So behind every successful person, there's another successful person. I want to wish you good luck, Reza. And one thing that I cannot help but reminisce is an event that took place 2 years back in Jet Hall about the inaugural entrepreneurial award. Those of you who were there would recall that also went to a chemical engineer. I don't know how many of you recall that. That was Frank Seidel, who is also a chemical engineering alum, who received that entrepreneurial award. So the reason why I couldn't help but reminisce about that is I think it's in the culture of the college, and I believe it's in the culture of the department as well, to produce outstanding entrepreneurs and winners like Reza. We are truly proud, and I do want to acknowledge David Rockstraw, the department head, for creating that fertile ground for winners like Reza. One thing I also want to mention is Reza's quote, which the Chancellor read, that one of the things that he is very happy with his job is working with students. And this is an intellectual property award ceremony. The reason why I'm trying to connect all of this is that I always mention about NMSU engineering. We do not consider teaching research, economic development, outreach, and bringing about operational efficiencies in whatever we do as mutually exclusive events or processes. We think they all overlap. We think to be good in one, we need to be good at the others as well. And we see that here in Reza's testimony. In the College of Engineering at NMSU, we value teaching student success just as much as we value economic development, just as much as we value outreach, tech transfer, and just as much as we value fundamental research. Reza himself did some fundamental research in polymer processing. So all of these things go together in our humble opinion. And that's what makes NMSU engineering unique. So we really put all of these things together, not as mutually exclusive things to do on a campus, but things that really leverage each other. So I just want to make that point, and I want to congratulate you again, Reza. This is a very impressive thing, and I am sure that the network you created at NMSU will be a great example for several who are following in your footprints in mechanical and aerospace engineering and civil engineering in particular, and in electrical and computer engineering. So you are indeed a great example for them to follow. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate the support from the department and the college. Really, it's just I've been part of the whole college, but yeah, it's just I've seen many other inventors in the college and in the department, and it's just growing the number of people that have been involved in intellectual property development. Thank you very much for your words. That's been ready.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Reddy. Very nice. I appreciate those words as well. Love the enthusiasm of the leadership here for this event and the topic. David Rockstraw, I think you're here. I'm going to jump onto yours and then go to the nominators, and then we'll open to the audience.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by saying I'm not surprised that Reza is receiving this recognition today. Had it not been him, I have a handful of other faculty in chemical engineering who are almost there themselves. So I expect this will not be the last recognition for the department. Reza is dedicated to his research and his students. He can be found in the office at all hours of the day at night. And I mean all hours, because I come in at odd times and he is always there. And yet his door is always open. He's always willing to stop what he's doing to attend to the needs of others. In fact, he excels at all aspects of being a faculty member. He receives strong teaching reviews every semester. Students say he's a great lecturer. He has high expectations, yet he offers a strong support structure for them to be successful. In addition, he maintains a diverse lab of researchers that include lower class undergraduates all the way through postdocs. As such, his lab is not just a research factory, it's a learning environment for everybody who's in there. And through all this, he still finds the time to provide service to the profession, to the department, to the institution, and to the community. Reza is an all-around member of the faculty. Reza, I am thrilled for your success, which I never held in doubt. I've enjoyed watching you grow and prosper as a member of the CHME team, and you have been an ideal colleague, and your presence at NMSU will be greatly missed. Congratulations, Reza.
I really appreciate Dr. Rockstraw. It hasn't been possible without you in the department, so you've been a great department head. I really appreciate being with you all these years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see. We have two nominators. So we did have a nice package of nominees, and as it turns out, Reza Foudazi was nominated twice. So I would like to call Dr. Yun Lee up and let her give her remarks, and she'll be followed by Kramer Winningham, who also nominated him.
Thank you, Patricia.
Yeah, hey.
Well, hi, Reza, congratulations.
Hi, Jan, thanks.
Well, I just want to give a quick background. You know, I represent VIC Technology Venture. Every year we look at hundreds, if not thousands of technology from all the research institute around the world, literally. And we have a team of us doing technology evaluations. Then we talk to industry partners to do in-depth market analysis. And out of that, normally we start a few companies, maybe a couple. And so just let you know that Reza made it to the top of the list last year. Was not easy. And of course, I thank you very much, the Carlos and Scott, for their support along the way. We bugged them for a long time and often. So I'm very impressed with Reza's research. Is not only because it's great research work, but also I think his work have very practical, is very practical minded, have a practical problem he tried to address. Then he approached from science perspective as well as application perspective. And for us to look at the technology or IP, we really wanted to see some application related data, and he has it. Not every researcher has that. To do that is not easy. That's just like President Flores says, he had to look at industry, right? Oh, anti-fouling is a problem for water filtration. Then he tried to address that, right? So there's a very practical problem he tried to address. Even though as we start the company, we didn't go with the water filtration direction, just because from commercialization perspective, we want to find a way that have a easier to go to market and have a bigger need. And the water filtration has been a very conservative market. And so doesn't mean we don't go there in the future, but our go-to-market strategy was in the bioprocessing. So anyway, so my point here is, I really appreciate Reza's practical-minded scientific approach, and it has been a pleasure working with Dr. Foudazi as well as Arrowhead, Kathy, and Carlos and Scott. I have bugged them many times to get the technology, for us to understand the technology. So thank you. Congratulations, Reza.
Thank you, Yun. Thanks for nomination, and thank you for all these. You always come with questions, and it's good that you have a different perspective always on the problem, and you challenge us with the questions and technology-related problems. And I really appreciate the time being with you and having you in the part of the company. I mean, I'm learning from you in that perspective a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Dr. Lee. And Kramer Winningham, I know you're here.
Yeah.
There you are.
Hi, my name is Kramer Winningham. I'm a program director at Arrowhead Center. I run our National Science Foundation I-Corps site program called Aggie I-Corps. Since that program started in 2016, we've supported more than 100 student and faculty teams moving the research towards commercialization. What's really cool about that is almost a dozen of those teams have involved Dr. Foudazi. So that's really impressive. And I've gotten a chance to work with a lot of great faculty at NMSU, but what Reza has been able to do with supporting the innovation ecosystem at NMSU has been really special. And so not only is he an innovator himself, but he's actively teaching students to innovate and then encouraging them and inspiring them to commercialize that research. So it doesn't get much better than that. I'm excited to be able to nominate him and want to thank him for all his efforts and say congrats.
Thank you, Kramer. And I'm sorry to overload the Aggie I-Course program with all the students, but they love it and they learn a lot in this program. Thank you for running that program.
Fantastic. So now we open to the audience, and we will, if you put your hand up or do the handshake on the screen, we'll call on you. And when you come up, please introduce yourself and tell us how you knew Dr. Foudazi, and then share your comment. So I see Carlos Muriega. You with us, Carlos?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Patricia.
Yes.
I just want to say that my experience working with you, Dr. Foudazi, was super great, delightful. And I think your biggest legacy is the fact that you have a lot of students involved. So not only you are getting some IP out there, but you're also teaching the path for students for the future as they move forward in their careers. So that is something that I have always admired, and I wish you the best moving forward.
Thank you, Carlos. You have been always supportive in the both IP and now in the launch. And I think you have been busy in different roles there, but thank you all the time. You've been very supportive. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Super. Scott Maloney, I see a hand up.
Thanks, Patricia. Dr. Foudazi, I think we could belabor and go on and on about your research prowess and really all the wonderful discoveries and academic insights that you've provided. It would be very easy to go on and on about that, but I won't, because one of the things that I wanted to really highlight here was a very specific moment. I remember sitting in your office discussing a new membrane technology, and what was so striking to me was not that it was incredibly insightful. It was a movement of the field going forward, but how fast you deferred to your students, how fast you gave them credit for the discovery, how fast you were to make sure they were a part of the solution, how inclusive you were of everything that was happening in your lab apart from yourself. And I really felt that the wonderful academic prowess you brought to the table had a counterpoint in how generous you were with your students and how much you integrated them into what you were doing. That, in my experience, being in and around academia for so many years, that is not common, but it should be. And I thought it was very, very moving to watch you just bring your students into that fold and make them a part of the process. So that moment in time typifies for me who you are as a faculty member and all the wonderful things that suggests.
Thank you, Scott. And this is a phrase in my teaching philosophy that you will learn a lot from our teachers and more from our colleagues, but the most from our students. I think our students are really the driving force of the whole thing. I'm just a coach sitting aside, and they're doing all work. So I think they really need to get the credit. So, but thank you for that observation. Thanks.
And speaking of students, I believe we have a student here with his hands up. Ryan Zawana, the stage is yours.
Hi, I'm Ryan Zawana. I'm a Ph.D. candidate in the chemical engineering department. I've been working with Dr. Foudazi for about 6 years now, a long time. I started as an undergrad, continued on with him for my doctorate. During that time, I've had invaluable experience, both academic and the commercial research aspect. I think with people that work in the lab, we don't really know what to do, or we maybe don't really care about the commercialization, but Dr. Foudazi is always focused on telling us, think about the application, because people need to care about our research. So he's instilled that in, I think, the entire group, the importance of this aspect of our research. I think you guys have gone over all these technologies. You've been trying to benefit society with water purification. There's a carbon dioxide capture project. The project I worked on was the breathable prosthetic sleeve liner that we ran through the Aggie I-Corps. We won the launch program and we went to NSF I-Corps. And it's a great thing that he was my mentor throughout. It's a really difficult program, very competitive, but with his guidance, we did very well with that. So I just want to thank him for a remarkable experience I've had working with him, everything I've learned, and congrats again on your award.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. And I recall the NSFI course was very painful, but we did it, so it's over now. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks. You've been a great student, and I think you've done a lot of work in the lab, and also you are just passing this legacy to other students. You are mentoring several undergraduate students, working with them and bringing to the lab. So I really appreciate the service that you give also to the lab and the help that you give to the other students. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. Let's see. I see Dr. Reddy's hand up again.
Yes, again,
Fantastic. Yeah.
because I forgot to make one point. I cannot help but reminisce about 45-minute conversation I had with Reza at his front door of his apartment very recently. And I remember him asking me for statistics on how people move around. And I gave him my own statistics. And I challenged him that every time I left a university, that university has become a bigger benefactor than the university I moved to, because of the partnerships I had with research groups and so many other contacts and networks I've been leaving behind. So and Reza is very well aware of the statistics, and his I think it's a good idea to go and get experience from a different school and university to widen our perspectives. And we look forward to seeing you back here, Reza.
Oh, thank you. I think I learned a lot at NMSU, and I really appreciate, because that's the start of my career as an independent faculty member. And I think that means very different. You really feel that it's like you get a PhD from an institution and you always belong to that institution. And I have that feeling for NMSU. I really love this environment. And as you know, my wife likes the weather here, but sometimes we have to move. And as I said, it's just we try to be a very good ambassador for NMSU whenever I'll be. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so very much. That was a very nice point. And yeah, you'll never get this kind of weather in Oklahoma. You know, it's just pretty perfect here. We brag about it and we love it. So Dr. Foudazi, very, very wonderful comments, and everybody in the audience, thank you so much. So I learned two new things before this. I learned a whole lot during this, but before this, while I was at other IP Day events, I learned that one, statistically, in a small business and any business, their intellectual property is their most valuable asset. So that was a fact that the US Patent and Trademark Office released. So that's good to know. The second key point that I learned was that the filing of patents persevered in greater numbers during the pandemic than before. So people were not sitting idle. And to Chancellor Rvisu's point about the future, post-pandemic commercialization, most important, we're going to have more to commercialize. So we do continue to see that from NMSU, we hope, and it sounds like we will. Reza Foudazi, congratulations. You are the first ever at NMSU honoree for the IP award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you very much, and for organizing this and for your work. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And to put on an event like this, it does take some work behind the scenes, and I want to acknowledge the staff at Arrowhead, Judy Roderick, Aaron Stoddard, Kristen Moorhead. They are making everything happen behind the scenes, and Peter Knapp for his excellent graphic design. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our event tonight. Thank you so very much, and have a lovely evening.
Great. See everybody. Congratulations.
Thank
again.
you to everybody for coming. Thank you.
Of course.